Hello, it's Sarah with Loaves and Dishes, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make my famous Oreo cheesecake, okay? This recipe is delicious, and it starts with 4 blocks of cream cheese. I like to use my stand mixer for this, but you don't have to. You could mix this by hand if you wanted. You just need to make sure that you're really whisking everything well and using room temperature cream cheese. I added some sugar and some sour cream to my cream cheese. About a cup of each. And then you just want to make sure that you're scraping the bowl if you're using your mixer, because cream cheese will clump onto the side and then your batter won't be smooth when you get done. So just make sure you're scraping down the bowl occasionally. You're going to add some vanilla extract, and then you're going to add 4 eggs one at a time. And what that means is you're going to crack the egg in there, you're going to turn your mixer on, you're going to let it mix for 15, 20 seconds, just until the egg is just a little bit mixed up. And then you're going to add another egg, and you're going to do this 4 times with 4 eggs. And it's best if everything is room temperature. So your cream cheese, let it sit out overnight. Your eggs, your sour cream, let all of them sit out overnight so that they get completely room temperature and so that your cream cheese is completely soft. Otherwise, you're going to have lumpy cream cheese, which, if that's your preference, that's fine, but it's not mine. Then in a Ziploc bag, you're going to take 30 Oreos and you're going to crush them. You can split these and take the cream out of the middle. If you do that, you're going to have to use more butter when we make the crust. And you could also use a food processor if you have one. I do not have a food processor, so I go with this tried and true method of putting them in a bag and beating them with a rolling pin. So it's a great way to get out a little aggression. If you're feeling a little upset, just take it out on some Oreos. But you just want to make sure that they're crushed up really well. They kind of have to be almost powdered because it's going to be the crust of our cheesecake. And this recipe is really great because you can take that basic cheesecake batter with the cream cheese, sour cream, sugar, and eggs, and you can add whatever you want to it. Like if you just wanted a plain cheesecake with a graham cracker crust, you could do that with this cheesecake. You just need to make a different crust. If you wanted to use a different cookie, like maybe you wanted to use chocolate chip cookies, you could probably do that. I don't see why that wouldn't work. Your crust might be a little bit different because, the consistency of a chocolate chip cookie is a little different, but that's up to you. That's the great thing about this recipe is if you don't like Oreos, you can change that part. But the base recipe, the cheesecake batter recipe, is a really good and simple cheesecake recipe. There's nothing complicated about it. So once you have those all crushed up, you're going to add half a stick of melted butter. I just dump that right in the bag, and then I kind of just zhuzh it around a little bit. Since I didn't divide the cream out of the Oreos, the Oreos have enough stick. You could probably get away with not using the butter, but I like to leave the cream in the Oreos so that it has extra stick so that it sticks together and in the pan better. Then you want to take a spring form baking dish, and this part's crucial. You have to have a spring form pan. You want to spray it really well with some oil, or if you have Baker's Joy, the Baker's Joy spray, you can use that as well. And then I also put down some parchment paper just around the outside, around the rim, I guess, just to keep the edges of the cheesecake from sticking to the springform pan. Cheesecake is kind of delicate, so you don't really want it to stick to the edge. I was not worried about it sticking to the bottom of the pan. If you are worried about that, you could additionally put down some parchment paper at the bottom of the pan. Now you want to add your crushed Oreos to the bottom of the pan. And then I just take my hand and I kind of smooth them around and flatten them out, and then I press them down just to make a really good compact crust. And you want to take your time with this step because you don't want to accidentally pick up Oreos or anything like that. You want to make sure that everything is nice and flat and even. So really take your time with this step. Now, back to our cheesecake batter. We're going to add some crushed up Oreos. I just kind of break up the Oreos over the batter. You can do however many or little of this as you want. I like to add big hunks of Oreos, like the big hunk in my cheesecake. If you wanted something finer, you could completely crush it up like dust again. This part's also just really up to you. And then you want to mix that together really gently, especially if you were doing the big hunks, because, you don't want to break up your big hunks. And then you're going to pour that mixture over your crust, your Oreo crust. And once you get everything in there, you want to just tap it on the counter a couple times to remove any of the bubbles. You want to bake it at 350 for 45 minutes. You can also do a water bath, which just means you put some water in like a casserole dish or something that will hold water safely in the oven. And you put that on a rack lower than the cheesecake rack, just under, so that it sort of steams in the oven. And then take it out of the oven, let it sit on the counter for about 30 minutes. And then you want to put it in the fridge and let it cool off for at least 4 hours before you try to cut into it. This was at exactly the 4-hour mark, and the middle was just a little bit soft still. It really needs to set up in the fridge. But here it is, all done. This cheesecake is delicious. It's so good. If you try it, please let us know, and thanks for watching.